Welcome to the Silverthorne Pulse. I'm Kim Jardim with the town of Silverthorne, and today I have Assistant Town Manager Mark Leidal with me and Finance Director Laura Kennedy. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Kim.
We're here to recap the October 26th Town Council meeting, and we'll start with our work session, which began at 4 p.m. on October 26th. And first item was the Smith Ranch resale process. And so we're getting close to the build out of the Smith Ranch property, which is super exciting. So Mark, can you tell us a little bit about what the discussion was about resale?
Yeah, when we do the Smith Ranch property, we've had lotteries that we've had people go through because there's been so much demand and interest in the Smith Ranch property. So as we're seeing resales come forward, we want to make sure that the lottery process is the same. So we need to make some tweaks to our housing guidelines in order to make sure that lottery process for all of the resales that are going to be occurring is very same as what we did with the Smith Ranch neighborhood.
Great. Excellent. That's exciting. So the next item in the discussion during work session was the comprehensive plan implementation regarding short-term rentals. And we've talked about this before here. Short-term rentals are a hot topic in our community, and that includes Silverthorne as well. And our council has been looking at the possible implementation of regulations. Can you tell us a little bit about what the discussion was around short-term rental possible regulations?
Yeah, because of the comprehensive plan, we want to make sure we're maintaining that quality of life and sense of community. And so short-term rentals has been a topic of discussion for several months now. We did a community survey and saw the results from that. And so what we really wanted to do was to go back to town council to say, we want to test those numbers, the 10% in the majority of town of short-term rentals and 50% in the downtown area, because we certainly want to make sure that short-term rentals are accommodated within the community, but we want to make sure we're maintaining that quality of life and sense of community. So with that, we went back to town council with all of that information, and council did direct staff to go ahead and move forward with an ordinance to prepare to make sure that we bring forward some of those regulations so that we can consider that over the next couple of work sessions and town council meetings.
Great. Thank you for that update. So we'll be seeing that ordinance at a future meeting in the near future, I imagine?
Yes, yeah. We'll be taking the draft ordinance to work session first, and then it'll go to town council for readings.
Okay, great. And then moving on to the council meeting itself, which begins at 6 p.m., we were excited to swear in two new positions within our police department. We swore in Miss Anna Shanks as a new officer. She came to us from the National Park Service, so she is a new officer with the Silverthorne Police Department. And then we had a swearing in for a first ever Assistant Police Chief, Rachel Dunaway, and she is a sergeant that has been with our department for several years. And this is a new position within our department, and she was sworn in last night with family and friends present. So that was a fun night for everyone. So then we move on to the consent calendar, and there is a replat of the Elevate townhomes at 4th Street Crossing. And these are the townhomes that are adjacent to the Bluebird Market in our new downtown core. Can you tell us just a little bit about the replat and what that is?
Yeah, it's exciting to see the townhouses come to completion in the 4th Street Crossing development. And so the replat is really preparing it for sale. We're getting close to the certificate of occupancy, and so that replat creates the lots that would be sold to the individual owners. But I think it's exciting to see 4th Street Crossing come to its completion.
So there'll be people living in Elevate townhomes soon.
Yep.
Great. Excellent. So the bulk of our council meeting on October 26th was 4 ordinances related to finance for the town. And Laura Kennedy, our finance director, is here to speak with us today about those ordinances. The first ordinance was to add exemptions to the sales tax code. And so my understanding is that this is related to delivery fees and bag fees. Can you tell us a little bit about the exemptions to the sales tax code?
Sure. So this ordinance is in response to a number of changes that the state has made. The state has imposed a delivery fee of 27 cents for every delivery, and that's to help pay for the maintenance of the roads throughout the state. With the increase in online shopping, there's a lot more deliveries happening, and so that fee, we're exempting that fee from town sales tax. As a home rule municipality, we have the authority to impose or exempt certain items from taxation, and so we're going to exempt that from tax. The town participates in the Colorado Municipal League Sales Tax Simplification Committee, and it was a unanimous decision that all home rule municipalities would exempt both the delivery fee and the bag fee. So moving on to the bag fee, beginning January 1st, 2023, retail establishments that have more than 3 locations, so for example, large chain stores, national chains, will have to charge a bag fee throughout the state of Colorado. And 60% of that fee will come back to the jurisdiction that the establishment is within. So the town will be seeing some revenues from this, and then the other 40% remains with the retailer to pay for like recycling and purchasing the bags and whatnot. So we're also exempting that 10 cents fee. And beginning January 1st of 2024, those types of retail establishments will be prohibited from providing single-use plastic bags. And so it would be paper bags only, and you'll have to pay 10 cents for those as well. And then the third exemption that we're adding is just to mirror an exemption that the state is also providing for purchasers of incontinence and diaper products. And so we're just following suit with that exemption.
Great. I love seeing our community move toward
Sustainability.
Sustainability,
Sure.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the second ordinance was amending the 2022 budget first reading, which means it will come before council again for a second reading. Why would we be amending a 2022 budget when the calendar year is almost complete? Can you explain that for everyone?
Yeah, this is a standard practice. So normally we adopt the budget in November of each year. And so this is amending the budget that we adopted last November of 2021. And so obviously since then there's been a number of changes and opportunities that we've had. And so we're just amending the budget to be able to acknowledge and add those opportunities into the budget. So for example, one of the large revenue adjustments is to the change in the lodging tax. And so the town of Silverthorne had a ballot measure in April where we increased the lodging tax from 2% to 6%, but we also changed the purpose of that tax, for which it can now be used for to offset the impacts of tourism. So for example, increased use of the recreation center, increased need for public safety, more streets and roads maintenance, the curb, gutter, sidewalks that we're putting in throughout the town core, and other programs such as that. So those are the types of things that will be in the next year's budget, using the funds that we will now be seeing in the general fund from lodging tax. We also received about $615,000 from the American Rescue Plan, and so we're adding that into the budget to acknowledge that those funds have been received. But we also have expenditures that we weren't expecting back in November. So the town's infrastructure is aging, and so we've had a number of water main breaks. So we're over budget in our water system maintenance, and so we need to amend the budget to authorize those expenditures. And additionally, we've also, we're moving forward with changing the purpose of the building to be the art spot at the corner of the highway, is it?
And 4th Street?
4th Street, yep.
Yes.
And so that building needs to come up to code for ADA so that it can be used by the public, and a number of other facility improvements to make that an appropriate place for the art programs that we'll be seeing in 2023. So those are some of the changes that we're making to the 2022 budget, and we do still have a few months left in 2022, and so we'll be taking another look at the budget after the fiscal year ends, and if we need to make further amendments, that'll happen in March when our fiscal year really all of the invoices that we are expecting to pay, we should have those by then, and all of the sales tax payments that we receive, we should also have on the books by then.
Great, thank you for helping us understand that process.
Sure.
The third ordinance was an ordinance adopting the 2023 rates and fees. First reading again, so it will come before council again. So is this a standard practice, and is this an increase in rates and fees? What does this look like?
So every year we do evaluate how our enterprise funds, and so the town provides utilities to our residents and businesses, and those utilities are water utility, sewer utility, and stormwater management. And those funds are run as a business where we need to make sure that the rates and fees that we charge cover the costs of doing business. And so our costs, just like everyone else's, are increasing. And as I mentioned before, our infrastructure is aging, and so there's more maintenance needed in those areas. We are also looking at adding a position to our water fund, a backflow technician. Backflow testing is required by the state, and there aren't a lot of businesses that offer that service in our area, and so our businesses are running into trouble meeting that requirement. And so we'll be looking at filling that position in 2023, which will also allow us to bring someone in as an entry level, and then to get more training, they will be a person who could possibly be promoted up through the water department.
So can you just briefly, I know you're not a water expert, but I know you know a little bit about this. Can you just briefly tell us what that backflow mitigation is?
So backflow is, preventing a backflow is a state requirement. So the water in the pipes is all supposed to just go in one direction. It should go from the source, the treatment source, all the way through to where it's being used. And when it's sitting there in the pipes waiting to be used, it should not be flowing back into the supply lines, because then it will contaminate the water for future users. So that's a requirement that the state makes of all businesses, and so I believe they need to be tested annually, and so that's something that we're trying to help our local businesses with.
Great. And in terms of increased rates and fees, people might be wondering, like, well, what does this mean to my bottom line, to my wallet? Can you give us an example of a rate increase and what it looks like for a home in Silverthorne?
Certainly. So our typical home that we call a typical home is a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, and that would be one EQR, which is what our billing is based on. And so the water rates have a 2-part fee, and it's both a fixed fee and then a tiered fee. And the tiered fee increases the amount that a person or business is charged based on usage. And so in the past, the town has always just increased the flat fee. But going forward, in line with our sustainability goals, we are going to instead increase the tiered fee. And that way, the more that you use, the more that you'll pay. And so for the water utility fees, the tiered rate is going to increase by 6%, and the flat part of the rate will remain the same. And then for our sewer fees, those will be increasing. That's just a flat rate. Nobody measures the usage for sewer. That's just going to increase by 3%. And then our stormwater fees are going to increase from $6 a month for our residents to $6.60, and we're still getting our arms around the stormwater management fees, and so what we're seeing is that the fees that we've been charging to date have not been covering the cost of operations, and so we're just looking to recover our costs there. But for a single-family home, a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, the result of all these fees with normal usage would be about a $2 a month increase over what they're currently paying. So overall for the year, it'd be $24 for the whole year.
Great. That helps to understand, what that equates to in dollars and cents. So thank you for that. The fourth ordinance of the evening was adopting the 2023 budget first reading. And so that, again, is a standard practice annually every year where staff goes before council and explains our 2023 budget and what it's going to look like. Can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the projects that the town is involved in that might be coming
Sure.
up in the future year?
Yeah, this is a joint effort from all of the departments of the town. And in the general fund, which is where most of our normal services are budgeted, we've got the public safety, our police department, our community development department, which provides also safety and organization layout. You know, that's really who decides how the town looks and feels. Our rec and culture provides programs, and the rec center in the coming year will also be offering programs through the Art Spot. Our public works maintains our streets, plows the snow, which I think everyone is appreciating this week. Also maintains our parks and our facilities and the town's fleet. We also have been focusing on workforce housing for the past several years. And then, as I mentioned before, we provide the utilities, water, sewer, and stormwater management. So in the general fund, we are budgeting a number of new positions, and some of those involve just increased capacity at the town, increased parks, and so we're adding a few public safety officers and an investigator, a parks operator, the backflow technician that I mentioned, and then with the growth in staff, we are also adding an HR position to help us manage all of the additional staff that we have, and then finally a sustainability manager, which again is in line with the town's sustainability goals, and then also a sustainability program budget so that that new person will have money to spend on programs that they'll be developing. And in the capital fund, we have got a number of exciting projects that we're working on. We're working with the county right now to build the child care center that people may have noticed construction out in front of Smith Ranch. We hope to have that up and operating within a year or so. We're also going to continue to add curb, gutter, and sidewalks around the town core, on-street parking, continuing with workforce housing, both with finishing the Smith Ranch for purchase residential housing, and then also constructing for rent housing at the Smith Ranch property, and then also focusing on a parcel that the town owns at Annie Road and building some workforce housing there as well. We will be expanding Trent Park in 2023 and adding a traffic signal at Ruby Ranch Road, and then expanding and improving the rec center locker rooms. So those are some of the big plans that we have just in the next year or two. But looking forward even a little bit further, we are planning a dedicated police facility with planning and design in 2025, and then hopefully construction of that facility in 2026. And then again, focusing on the rec center and the programs and services that we provide there, a rec center expansion in the future ahead too. So the town looks ahead about 5 to 10 years, and so those are out there a ways, but we just want people to know what they can look forward to.
Great. Wow, there's so much happening in town. There is a buzz about our community, about Silverthorne. Everywhere I go, people are talking about Silverthorne and all that's happening there. So
There's a lot going on.
Thank you so much for that update.
Sure.
So that is all for us for today. We will see you next time for our November council meeting. Thank you for joining us.